Trademarks might be the most valuable part of your company, and I think people starting companies often overlook how valuable trademarks can be. And if you think for a minute of a company like Nike, most people don't even remember what Nike's first product was, even though I'm sure they had it protected by things like patents. It was actually a waffle tennis shoe with a waffle pattern on the bottom of it. But over time, their product line changed, and the tennis shoe models changed along with it. But the name Nike and the Nike logo, the swoosh logo, are really where the value is. And if you look today, it's probably one of, if not the most recognized logo in the world. So when you're starting a company, considering trademark, but also consider what you're going to trademark and how that will build your brand loyalty over time. Trademark and brand building go hand in hand. And the trick to picking good trademarks is not to pick simply the name of a product. Think of like a car company called Car. Well, that would just be a generic name. It wouldn't do anything. Likewise, something silly like red car, blue car, things like that, where they just describe your product, aren't good enough. But if you look at names of companies that you recognize, Amazon and Google, you realize that they picked things that are suggestive in the minds of the public. Amazon's original product was selling books, and the Amazon is the largest river in the world. So their marketing line was Amazon, the largest bookstore in the world. So they took this concept of something very large, like Amazon, and they applied it in an area where it isn't historically used. No one would associate the Amazon River with the sale of books. Google did the same thing. A Google is a big number, one followed by 100 zeros. So they created an impression in the mind of the potential public that this is a high-tech, they spoke to the high-tech people because they had a very fast search engine. So they took this idea of a large number and equated it with this idea of speed. And so they created these suggestive names that became their trademarks, and now they're very, very valuable trademarks. And of course, their products have changed completely. Google is an advertising agency, not just a web search engine, and Amazon sells everything. So whatever the product you have, you'd like to have a name of a company or trademark names you use to market that may be bigger than the mere products you're coming out with today when you're starting your firm. Other good trademarks are what we call arbitrary trademarks. For example, Apple for a computer. Everyone knows what the word Apple is, but they used it in an area that it's never been used before, and it has no real connection. You wouldn't think of Apple and computer going together. Likewise, trademarks that are just fanciful, like Kodak, didn't mean anything. It's a computer made-up word. Xerox is the same way. The downside to using arbitrary and fanciful types of trademarks for new companies is that you have to do a lot of brand building to build up the perception in the customer's name, what this name means. I mean, you have to spend a lot more marketing money. And if you're using something that's totally foreign to people, they won't necessarily associate it with your product. And usually if you're a smaller startup company, what you'd like to have is something that conveys something about your business so people know what you're doing without you having to do a lot of explanation or spending a lot of marketing money. So when you get together and create a new company name, you want to try to pick something that would suggest what your business does, not be too literal in interpretation, and then try to build your brand equity in that name. And a trademark, a registered trademark, can be one of the steps to help you protect the brand equity you've built in your name.